What's up, guys? This is Casey.
Coach Tom.
This is Shot Science Overtime number 198.
Woo, we're right there, aren't we?
Almost at 200.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we got a couple people here already. We got Kachi and Andres.
All right, right.
Cool to have you guys here. So we took a little bit of a break. I was out of the country. I was in Ireland and had no internet connection, so it was really tough to do a live show. But we're back, and we want to welcome you guys back. And it looks like a few people are already asking some questions. Phil Cohn's here, too.
Yeah.
So we're going to do our live show, and that typically is like, you know, a good chunk of time where we answer your guys' questions. But before we get into that, we'd like to have a topic that we throw at you guys that we think is going to help you take your game to the next level, right?
Yep.
So if you guys are looking for a tutorial or something shorter, like a 3-minute video, this is not that.
Yeah.
But we have a ton of those in our video library, so you can go to the Shot Science library on YouTube, which you're probably watching this on right now, and you can see all of our tutorials on anything related to basketball. So if that's more your style, go with that. If you want to talk to us for this hour, we're here for that right now. So some other things to talk about.
Yeah.
If you guys are in the Bay Area, so that's California, that's San Francisco Bay Area, the San Jose area, the Santa Cruz area, just anywhere in the Monterey Bay, if you are around and you want to go and work with us a little bit, this guy right here is running some camps here in the area in Santa Cruz, and we would love to have you guys come out to that. So if you want to go to that, you just have to go to bit.ly/ShotSci2017.
Yep,
right?
that's right.
So that's ShotSci, which is SHOTSCI 2017. So bit.ly/ShotSci2017.
Lee is L-Y, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And so if you guys want to come, and I think the next camp is about ball handling.
And
so,
Sunday.
Yeah, Andres Sims. He's in San Francisco. So,
right.
Andres, if you want to come and work with us, we would love to have you.
That'd be great.
And you guys can sign up right there at that site, and we give you all the information.
Yep.
There's going to be a whole long list of camps.
Yep.
We just did one last week on shooting.
Yep.
And then we're going to do more on shooting, of course, but we're also doing the ball handling next week, and then there's going to be some on, I think, post play,
Yep.
how to pass to the post, how to play in the post,
How to attack the basket.
how to attack the basket. So if you guys are interested in that, please sign up now, get your space, and tell people too. If you're in the area and you know some people, tell them about that.
The only change up is this weekend coming up, or next weekend coming up. We're going to be at Scotts Valley High School in Scotts Valley, California.
Well, I mean that's
but I want to let you know that
Santa Cruz area. So if you guys want to come down to that, we would love to have you, and that would be your chance to kind of work with us a little bit. And if you could spread the word, that would be awesome. Also, check out shotscience.com, and that's where we have all of our Shot Science related stuff where you can buy the gear. I'm not wearing the shirt today, but Coach Tom is wearing a Shot Science shirt. If you want to get the official Shot Science shirt, you want to get the Naismith is my homeboy shirt. If you want to get the training gear, which is pretty much anything you need to develop your athleticism and your jumping ability, your vertical jump. We have the vertical jump box, which is a kit for that stuff. And you can also buy the individual pieces of that. We would love for you guys to check that out. You can also sign up for the All Access membership, where we have really in-depth broken down breakdowns of the tutorial stuff that we talk about on YouTube, but we just go way further on that stuff. And we give you kind of the breakdown. We show you the drills. We give you all that information. So we would love to have you guys check that out. Looks like we're getting questions rolling in already.
All right.
But make sure you go to shotscience.com to check that stuff out. Okay, and you can follow us on social media and all of that stuff. And if you have questions, hit us up on social media.
Absolutely.
If you want to know what the camps are about, tweet at us. We're at Shot Science. If you want to know what we're doing on Facebook, go check us out there. Okay, Chris Morrison, we love you too, man. Let's see. Let's jump into our actual live show. But I want to give you guys some instructions. First, we're going to give you guys a topic that we think is going to help you become a better basketball player. We kind of probably gave it away in the title of the video, but while we are talking about that, we want you guys to send us your questions or your comments about anything basketball related: shooting, passing, dribbling, defense, how to talk to your coach, how to develop your athleticism, you name it. You've probably heard that a million times, but we want you to send us your questions, and that's your opportunity to maybe get something answered by a coach that has a lot of experience, and we both were players too, so hopefully that will help you in getting that question that maybe you've been burning to ask and were afraid to ask a coach in person. So while we do that, we want to ask you guys a question first before we jump into everything. And that's our question of the week. We have it every time we have a live show, and that is this.
Where are you located in the world? We want to know where you're from.
Yeah, like we just said, we are from Santa Cruz, California, which is south of San Francisco. Yeah. And we want to know where you guys are. Are you from Japan? Are you from Brampton, Ontario, like Chris is? Are you from Oregon, like Scott Sloop? We want to know where you guys are from, like maybe somewhere like Iceland or
Ireland, even.
Ireland, yeah. Or Lithuania.
You got me on that one, Casey.
Like Bryce McNair is from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Right.
Yeah, we want to know where you guys are from. So let us know where you guys are from, and also help spread the Team Shot Science love and tell people about Shot Science.
Yeah.
We got Serhat San, who says hi from Turkey.
All right. Why?
But you're trying to come to the USA for college basketball. That would be awesome.
Good.
And then we have Tyler, who's from Mundare, Alberta, Canada. Cool.
Right.
Okay, so our topic for today, while you guys are sending in your questions, so keep sending them in. If you send them in early, that's the better kind of part of the deal, because if you send them in late, there's so many that it's hard to get through. So
truly.
Early is best. So our topic for today is supercharge your shot selection. Yeah. Basically, what's a good shot? How, your ability to decipher when is the time to take the shot, when is the time to not take a shot, when is the time to create your opportunity to make the shot. So what are some things that you want to add to that?
The things that are really important is in basketball, offensive basketball, is shot selection, of course. Because oftentimes we hoist up shots that are really not advisable. Maybe they're too long. Maybe we're being crowded on defense, and the shot really is not a good look at all. And so the thing that you need to really understand is what are the elements that create a good shot or that create a poor shot.
And we've all seen like people that take these shots that are just not advisable.
Yeah.
The ones where they have double coverage, the one where they're going up and they already have somebody challenging their shot.
Exactly.
Circus shots, early shots.
Yes.
They take it too early in the rotation or too early in the possession, or just a long shot that's outside of their range. Yeah. These are examples of shots that probably are not good.
Yeah, you kind of piqued my interest on one there that you mentioned. Now where to go? I'll have to come back to
shots early in a shot or early
shot
in possession.
Clock. Okay, one of the things that we sometimes do as players, we shoot the ball too early, and what happens is that we then possibly we miss that shot and we turn it over to the other team. One of the things that's been proven through just statistics is that the shots that are taken later in the shot clock are ones where you're going to be most successful, because you have moved the defense. And the defense oftentimes will get a bit lazy. Someone will get lazy, and that will create an opening that is much better than if you come down and just hoist one up right away. And so that's real important that we understand is that you don't want to shoot necessarily early unless it is an uncontested lay-in and that you're going to put the thing in easy. So that's real important for us to keep in mind.
Yeah. So, let's break it down a little bit when it comes to kind of this topic is that there are times where you need to know what to do in the situation.
Yeah.
And a lot of people freak out about that because it's not a clear answer.
Yeah.
There's so many inputs into what you need to be, reading and deciphering and to figure all that out. Is the defense playing in a certain spot? Is it the right time in the shot clock? Do I have a teammate that's open?
Yeah.
All these things are going on, and you have to figure out, is now a good time to do it? And you have to
figure it quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no really time to waste, because if you do that, the opportunity is gone. Yeah. So a lot of it comes down to experience and knowing a lot about basketball. And, people really want to rush to, especially these days, they want to rush to have the answer and the results. Part of it, though, is that you have to get out there, you have to play, you have to be open to failing.
Yes.
And a lot of learning what's a good shot comes down to kind of having this approach is taking the risk and then, analyzing the risk.
Right.
And if you take a shot and it gets blocked, that should not be the end of your life.
Yeah, right.
That's one of those things where everybody on the planet that's played 5 minutes of basketball has been blocked.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan has been blocked more times than you have ever been blocked in your entire life. Kobe Bryant, same thing. Steph Curry, same thing. these people didn't let that get to them. And I'm sure you could ask them and they couldn't remember one time where it totally affected their life for more than like 2 or 3 seconds.
Yeah, right.
And so you need to have the mentality that no risk, no reward. And you need to go out there and just play. You learn a lot about what's a good shot from that.
Yes, you do. You know, the other thing that's real important is that we need to develop some confidence in our shot. And how do you do that? Well, you spend a lot of time working on your stroke mechanics until they begin to feel pretty good. And then the thing that's really important is it's time to put them to work. And this is where we often talk about our
Three pillars of practice.
And once you kind of have that plan down, then you go to game speed shooting, and then finally you go to playing in pickup games or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. People are so impatient that they want this new skill that they've developed to feel have confidence in it and have it feel like it's second nature, right when they try it. And that's not going to happen. So you need to have this approach when it comes to practice, is where you are going to diligently and progressively work on building it up and building up the confidence along with the skill itself. So that when you are working on just your shot mechanics, let's talk about that, then you don't just put all together these new things and then the next day believe that, why don't I have confidence in this? Well, you've only done it for a day.
Right.
So you need to work on the 3 pillars, where the first pillar is dialing in, slowly getting all of the elements together so that your mechanics are in the place that they need to be. Something like the form shooting drill. Second pillar is game speed, game intensity work. And that's where a lot of this stuff comes into play, where you are building your confidence with defensive pressure, with the pressure of the intensity level being up, with the pressure of maybe somebody else being there watching you. But you are building up confidence in execution. And then you take the third pillar, which is the experience, which we were just talking about, and you'll find that that's kind of like being a scientist and experimenting and finding out what works and what doesn't work.
Exactly.
And, it's, and if you are a scientist and you work on a project and something doesn't work, you don't just kick over the lab table, freak out, and then go hide at home, right? You say, oh, that's interesting. I'm going to take that. I'm going to remember that. That's not a good shot. That's a poor shot. And you move on, and you use it as a motivation and an education instead of just like something that looms over you and crushes you.
Right. Well, one of the things, too, is that by developing this confidence in yourself and as a shooter, that doesn't happen by accident. It takes time, and you have to fail a bunch before you finally, okay, things are starting to come together. I had this conversation with a couple of students yesterday, and they're high school girls, and one of them she's starting in basketball. She's been playing for a while, but she's starting in her freshman year in high school, and she shoots the ball really well. And I said to her, now, when you have open shots this next season, are you willing to shoot the ball? Oh, well, I don't know. And so I said, well, when are you going to find out? Well, I don't know. I said, do you shoot the ball pretty good? Well, yeah, I do shoot it pretty good. So one of the things that she was worried about is the fact that she would miss, and her teammates, I'm sure, would feel less of her as a player. Screw that. The whole thing is this. When you have a skill, you hone it to the point where you can utilize it in a game situation. Don't be afraid to shoot the basketball. What if you miss? Can't tell you how many times guys like Michael Jordan miss shots. I mean, in their whole lifetime. And Kobe Bryant. This just goes, it's just out of sight. Really.
Go look at career stats and then go look at the percentage of makes and then figure what is the percentage of miss. It's usually at least about 50%.
Oh, yeah.
And, the thing is that you have to be ready to... one of the things that will really stifle you as a player, as a person, or as anybody that's trying to succeed is letting the pressure of failure or just the notion of failure keep you where you're at.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is that if you don't, like we were saying, risk a little bit, then you will not advance. And there's so many people that they worry about missing a shot, or they worry about dropping the ball, or they worry about the perception of whoever's up in the stands, or what so and so is thinking. It's like, who cares? And I know when you're a kid, that's hard, because it seems like when you're an adult, you kind of get to the point where you're like, I don't care what anybody thinks. Right. But when you're a kid, that's not really the way it is. Yeah. But if you can change that just for basketball, that will take you a long way. And then it'll probably help kind of get you that way into your life, so that you don't worry so much about, what everybody else is thinking about you.
Yeah, well, let me go back to that young lady again. I will be willing to bet you money today that if she will take shots when they're available to her, by the time she gets mid-season, she's going to have shooting confidence, and she will really do a great job. Now, let me...
And that wouldn't happen if she didn't put the risk out there. Yes, if she didn't take the shot.
You got to take it.
Because there's really just... There's one outcome for the person that isn't willing to risk anything, and that is that you will not go anywhere. You will stay where you are. Yeah. There's two outcomes for the person that's going to risk something, and that is that you're going to advance or you are going to fail, and you're not going to lose anything from it. Yeah. So, if you keep risking a little bit, you're going to keep moving forward eventually. So you have to kind of get in the mentality that shot that I missed, I'm the only one that really cared about it 2 seconds later. Yeah.
Well, we kind of have this little saying: if you miss a shot, oh well, we'll go on to the next one, and just don't be afraid to put the ball up.
Yeah, you have to be present when you're playing basketball. You can't worry about the shot you missed. Last possession, you can't worry about the shot that you haven't taken in the next possession. You're worried about just the possession that you have right now.
Well, now let me just take and put a little bit more color on this. Gino Ariyama from University of Connecticut coaches the women's team there, and I watched him on a video the other day, which I thought was really interesting. And one of the things that he was talking about is when to shoot the basketball. And he had a girl on his team who was a new girl, didn't know the system all that well, and every time she touched the ball, she was jacking the shot up. Yeah. And he wasn't real pleased with that. And this went on for a game or two, and finally he took her out of the game, and she sat for the rest of the game. And he made no explanation to her why she was sitting. At the next practice, he was kind of talking to him, and he said this: if you're playing on this basketball team, and you don't take a shot when you are open for the shot, you're coming out of the basketball game. Well, what does that tell you? He wants you to shoot those shots. He didn't say you have to make them. He says you have to shoot them. And so that's an important consideration. Okay, and so then he went a little bit further, which I thought was really kind of interesting, and I won't have this just like he laid it out, but at the next practice, he pointed to this one girl, and he said, okay, here we are down one, and we've got about 4 seconds to go. Who would you pick to shoot the basketball for you? And she pointed to one girl over there, and she said, I would have Connie do it. And he said, no, Connie she's gassed. She didn't have anything left, and that's not the person who went shooting the ball there. Who would you select after that? Well, I would go over here and I'd say Phyllis. Well, Phyllis is kind of hobbled a little bit right now, and she's not able to get around very well. And so
it's because Phyllis is 90 years old.
Yeah, and so that probably is not going to work out very well. And then he turned to the girl who had been the shooter, and he said, did you hear your name called in that list at all? And he said the girl just went blank. And he said, that ought to tell you something. You take shots that are good shots, and you take them when they're open. Otherwise, you don't shoot the ball. If you don't follow that, then there will be a place for you on the bench right next to me. And so I thought that was great information for a collegiate coach who's super successful with his basketball career, and to lay it out there. This is what we expect you to do when you're on the floor. You shoot when you're open. When you're not open, you're not jacking shots up.
Yeah, and here's a final consideration for the shot selection thing too, and that is high percentage shots versus low percentage shots. And as a basketball player, you need to know what the difference is between those things. Excuse me while I sneeze. Excuse me. Yeah, so a high percentage shot is one that has a good percentage chance of going in the basket. Mm-hmm. A low percentage shot is one that is the opposite.
Or maybe you're contested. Or
okay. Well, I was just going to say, so a low percentage shot would be something like a contested shot where somebody is up in your face, they're challenging the shot. That is a variable that drops your percentage chance of it going in.
Off balance.
An off balance shot, a deep shot that's outside of your range, a circus shot, a fadeaway. Sorry, people, but that's a low percentage shot. Just anything where it is not an optimal situation for you to shoot. High percentage shot, on the other hand, is an open shot. Maybe it's one where you created space to get open, and so you're taking a shot not contested. One that's within your range, one that is, it has a good chance of going in the basket. That's what you should be striving for. You shouldn't be striving for the style points of the circus shot or the fade away.
Yeah.
Sure, those look great when they go in, but the percentage chance of them actually going in is so much lower than these higher percentage shots. So we're always telling people, learn how to create space to get open to take the open shot. And you can talk to any of these NBA players that are your heroes or whoever, and you can ask them, what shot would you rather take? A wide open jump shot or a contested shot from mid-range or something like that? And they will tell you they'll take the open shot because there's a better chance of getting the basket. And that's the whole point of basketball is the points. You don't get style points.
And just like Coach Ariana says, you must take that shot. And if you don't take that shot, you're coming to the bench. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to shot selection, work on developing your ability to shoot high percentage shots.
Yeah.
Take some time to get experience and learn what is a good shot. And you have to risk to get the reward on that.
Yep.
And then also, you have to play into whatever situation it is for your team. Like you were talking about the thing with the UConn coach. Yeah. And know when inside that system is the best time to take the shot.
Yeah.
And also be aware that your teammates are going to have an opportunity that might be a better scoring opportunity than you. That is a good shot selection to give them the ball.
Yeah.
So you can influence the shot selection of other people as well.
Right.
Okay, sorry. Having a little allergy attack here. Okay, so I think that's good for shot selection, right? So hopefully that will help you guys. If you're struggling with that, start to kind of have that integrated into your approach, is that kind of thinking. I think especially the biggest take home is high percentage shots.
Yeah.
Learn what those are.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to take a moment to go watch the What's a Good Shot video that we made a few years ago, that would be a good one to take a look at.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to jump into answering your guys' questions. And if you have more questions about shot selection, that's totally cool. Drop them into the questions. But we want to know what you guys want to talk about. Anything shooting, passing, dribbling, defense related, we will jump in and try to answer as many as we can. Get them in now because as we go on, it's going to be harder for us to answer those questions.
Boy, there's a lot of questions there
today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's, and remember our question of the day is, where are you guys from?
Yep.
We want to know where in the world you guys are from.
Yeah.
Okay. Jellyfam is asking, can I get in good conditioning in 3 weeks for basketball tryouts? I have good skill. My conditioning is just lacking and unplugged point. So obvious. No. I don't know what that means.
No. 3 weeks should give you a chance to get pretty good shape if you work really hard at it.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than the people that come in and say, I have tryouts tomorrow. What can I do to get in condition?
Right. A little late.
Yeah. So I think that if you have a good, solid approach where you are working on stuff consistently every day, you can definitely affect your conditioning over that time period.
Yeah.
Would it be better if you started earlier? Yes. But you have what you have, and so you just got to make it work.
Yeah, and usually the preseason for basketball is 3 to 4 weeks, and so a lot of that's conditioning in the beginning, and so that period of 3 weeks probably works pretty good if you work hard.
Yeah, and I will also say this too, is that when it comes to conditioning for basketball, don't be the person that goes out there and jogs 6 miles a day.
Yeah,
that does not translate to basketball at all. When it comes to conditioning for basketball, you have to think what is functionally the best approach, and that would be something that mimics what you do on the basketball court. So that's a lot of sprints and walks.
Change of direction kind of things.
Change of direction stuff like lateral movements and things, just explosive things. So if you're going to work on any kind of endurance conditioning, it should be endurance for those sprinting sections.
Yeah.
One of the things that I would do, it would be sprint the straights, walk the curves on a track.
Yeah.
So if you have a school track, sprint those straight parts of the track and walk or jog the curved parts. Or you can do something like the ladder drill or the suicides or whatever. Mm-hmm. Those are meant to mimic what you would do on the basketball court.
And you have to remember that basketball is played on a court that is between 94 and 100 feet. And so those short bursts of 30, 40, 50 feet are the ones that really are the paydays for you. And so those are the kinds of things where you want to change direction, sprint, 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 sprint. Okay.
There's no time during the basketball season where you will be asked to run 6 miles or jog 6 miles.
No.
Okay, Bryce McNair says, thank you all, really helped my game a lot. Awesome.
Oh, that is sweet. We love that one.
Andre Sims, I'll do my best to make it with my team.
Good.
Cool. This is from Sirhat San, who says, I used to shoot mid-range easily, but can't three-point. But now I changed my shooting form. Now I can't shoot mid-range shots, but can make threes. Any suggestions to fix that?
You know, something that's really interesting about that, I'm not going to go into the whole litany of it, but there was a coach that we came across a few years back, well-known coach, and he had done studies on mid-range shots versus threes. And one of the things that he found out is that mid-range shots are not very, the percentage of makes is not very high. And he found out that actually the threes were at a higher percentage of makes than the mid-range. And probably has something to do with just the touch of the shot, but I wouldn't worry too much about that.
And practicing it, I think.
Yeah, and practice it, but don't worry about it too much. If you can shoot the three ball, sweet, and maybe get one or two that you can get into the basket from, the free throw to 8 feet. That's cool. Well, I wouldn't worry too much about that.
I would say you need to take a look at what you're doing and maybe identify the issues. So one of the things that we always tell people is to film what you're doing. You can do it on your phone and just look at what your execution is. And,
sure.
And on iPhones and other, most of the devices out there, you can actually do the slow motion function on that stuff. And so you can see down to like the millisecond what you're doing.
You can.
And so I would say try to do some of that stuff. Typically, I would say that if you're missing a bunch of mid-range shots, you're hitting the three, and it comes down to consistent work on all of that stuff. And if you're just shooting three-point range, you're going to get the touch on that, but you're not going to have the touch on the mid-range if you don't work on it.
Well, the other element that comes in here is usually those mid-range shots are the result of picking the ball up off the dribble and shooting the basketball. So that's a little different mechanic there too. Oftentimes you'll get a shot maybe that's 6 or 8 feet. That is just a little putback or something like that. But shooting off the dribble in that mid-range could be a problem for you. And it could be that we had a student this morning and he was struggling with the shot. And what was happening is that he was waiting before he delivered the ball. He held the ball too long before he shot it. I suppose some of you can see that paint on my fingers. I've been painting a little bit. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so, hopefully that helps a little bit. Jigsaw Genie says, how to defend against really quick players. Well, you have to...
Where are you now? Right here. Okay.
You have to respect the abilities of the other player. And if you're playing up on that person, they're going to take that opportunity to go right by you because they know that they're quicker and they can take a step, and then you're in recovery and you're already beat because they've taken that step.
Yeah, there's another element that really comes into play here too. Find out if they have an offhand or not. And what you can do there is you can get up and kind of cheat a little bit on their strong hand, force them to play with a left hand, and they may not be nearly as effective with that weak hand as they are with their strong hand.
And here's our defensive approach when we talk to players, and that is that you don't want to be reactive, you want to be proactive.
Exactly.
So if they are, so that basically means you don't want to sit back and wait for them to give you a jab step or wait for them to take a shot or wait for them to do whatever. You want to manipulate them so that they're doing what you want them to do. So in the first place, don't let them catch the ball.
Yeah.
And that means denying the passing lane, just making life tough for them, playing them real tight.
Yeah.
The second thing is that when they get the ball, that you are, giving them the respect that they deserve in that you're not overplaying them up tight because you know that they can go by you, but you're giving them that cushion, but it's not so much that you wouldn't be able to contest a shot. And then you have enough space between you and them that you're able to step in front of them and stop whatever their attack is.
Or direct them.
Yeah. If you are just waiting for them to do all this stuff, you're going to get in trouble. So you need to have a little bit of anticipation and also be kind of aggressive in your movements, not in reaching in, not in trying to pop the ball out. Those are not good approaches to defense.
There's another element that is super important for you to understand too. If you're playing on a basketball team, anytime somebody has the basketball, it is 5-on-1. Hope you understand that. It's 5 defenders defending that one person. And what you will find is that coaches, they devise ways where other players support you and help you so that they can't go by you. And after you kind of learn that, then you begin to be a little bit more aggressive and get up into them, because you know that if that guy drives you hard to his right, there's going to be one of your teammates that's going to step into that seam and stop him, force him to pick the basketball up, and then he's going to recover to his man. So the defensive concepts there can really help every individual on the team, just that always knowing that there's 5-on-1. It's not just me and him. It's 5-on-1, and I got it loaded in my favor. Okay?
All right, we got Rex from Katy, Texas.
All right, good. Hey, Rex.
Scott Sloop says, my tryouts are today.
Wow.
I've watched all the videos on the channel about how to make the team. Any other last-minute advice?
Do it. Just go play your rear end off. I mean, that's the most important thing in my book, is that, in fact, one of the things that coaches notice almost immediately is your effort on the floor. If you are lackadaisical, don't play hard, give up, what you're going to find is that they're not going to be excited about you. But if you come out of there and you have adrenaline squirting out of both ears and you are hyped up and you just play your rear end off, then I like that guy. He can't shoot the ball, but I really like the way he can move his feet and get after the basketball. There's a loose ball on the floor, and you're after that. Even if you have to go 20 feet, you're the first guy there. And so those kinds of effort really pay dividends for people who are not the most skilled player, but just effort.
And the other thing is that don't try to play outside of your abilities.
Yep.
So many people try, they barely work on their game, and then they show up and they try to play like they're Steph Curry. And it's like, well, that is not a good way to get the coach's attention in a positive way.
Yeah, right.
So just play within your abilities. If you are not a good 3-point shooter, then maybe don't shoot the 3-point shot.
Yeah.
Work on getting yourself to the basket or whatever it may be, or moving without the basketball. And the other thing is that, and we've talked about this before, is that most teams, coaches already know who they're going to have on the team.
That's the unfortunate news, yeah.
So our best advice is to get to know your coach way before the tryouts ever happen.
Right.
Go to the open gyms, do all that stuff. But, if you're not in that position now, the best thing you can do is make your case for being a amazing teammate and maybe even a leader on a team.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the most skilled. You don't have to be the person that knocks people's socks off. You need to be the person that the coach has to have on the team, because you're positive, you're motivating, maybe you're able to play and everything too, but you have to make kind of a different case than the players that maybe have already been kind of chosen before this has all gone down.
Right.
And that's not usually what people want to hear, but that's kind of the way things are.
Yep.
Let's see here. Keegan M says, I want to make this detailed, but YouTube limits me, so I'll try to summarize it the best I can. Okay. I'm a JV quarterback whose varsity is defending class champs. The question ahead of me is the quarterback ahead of me. Is this football? The quarterback ahead of me is graduating, and I'm a sophomore. I want to be as good as possible for next year, so I was wondering if I should only focus on football and not basketball. By the way, I'll be starting as a junior.
It's really hard for us to give you that kind of information.
We can't tell you what to do in that situation.
Yeah, even though I coached basketball for over 20 years, football for 20 years, it's not something that I would be willing to tell you what to do.
Well, no, that's
not a matter of expertise after 20 years.
Yeah, that's like, asking, should I play the guitar or should I play piano?
Yeah.
That's really a personal preference,
It is.
and you have to kind of figure out what your priorities are. Okay. That's really the bottom line.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're going to ask us, we'd say basketball.
Yeah, if it was basketball, we'd help you with that one.
Let's see here. This one is from John D. who says, "Hi, coaches. From your personal opinion, which is better for point guards, high tops or low top shoes?"
You know, the probably.
I could tell you my thoughts on it.
Go ahead.
One of the problems that we see with, I don't know if it's so much high tops, but definitely with ankle braces and braces in general, is that you kind of eliminate one of these joints from taking the abuse that other joints might take part in too. So what that means is like, okay, so you have something where you have a weird angle that you land your foot on. If you don't have an ankle brace on, sure, you sprain your ankle, but all your other joints are okay. So now let's tie that thing up and put it in an ankle brace. You hit the same kind of awkward landing. You hit some, you apply some shear to your joints. Your ankle can't move, but your knee can, and that's not good.
Yeah, right.
And you end up injuring your knee. So it's like you kind of transfer the energy of that landing or whatever into the other joint. I don't think that's always great. But, I'm not sure how it translates so much to shoes, but it definitely, if you have shoes that kind of lock that joint into place, I don't think that that's always the best thing either.
Well, yeah, there's another element that I think is evident here too. Wearing ankle braces doesn't allow the flexibility of that ankle joint as much, certainly, but it also will make that joint maybe a little less receptive to excessive, what's the word I want to use, stretching or that kind of thing. In other words, you're really making that ankle brace or that ankle a little weaker by wearing the ankle braces.
Yeah, over time, for
yes,
sure.
over time. And so I think it's fine if you turn an ankle and you get a good ankle brace. And one of the things that's real important, I think, on the ankle braces is this. I don't like the idea of the ones that are made out of the stretchy material, because they don't really give you any support at all, except for maybe up here. What you want to do is get one that is I think a vinyl lace-up, and if they have straps, that's fine too, but something that snugs up with that ankle and gives it some support until it can get to the point where that thing is rehabbed and you can take them off and start strengthening again.
Yeah, well, that was kind of a tangent because we weren't talking about ankle braces so much, but it's true that you shouldn't do anything where you are limiting the mobility of joints. Yeah. And don't take our word for it. Go talk to like physiologists and people that are kind of skilled in that. We talk to those people and we work with them, so we know about that kind of stuff a little bit. But I see it all the time when I go to the gym and I lift weights and stuff, and there's guys that walk around and they have weight belts on all day long. They're doing curls, they got a weight belt on. They're doing bench press, they got a weight belt on. The same guys, they put on wrist wraps and they're doing whatever. And the problem is that you are taking away your ability to use that joint effectively, and there's all these stabilizing and support muscles that you're taking out of the equation. So those are the same guys where they're squatting 405 and then they go to the grocery store and they pick up a bag of groceries and they throw their back out because they haven't been working on building up those muscles around that area. So the same thing can be true about your ankle, but I think the scariest thing is that transferring that ability to absorb impacts into just a single joint or another joint, which is not good for if it's your knee.
True.
Anyways, super tangent. Elson Ling says, how to boost confidence. I have basic mechanics, but I'm not confident to take shots.
Okay.
Confidence in your shot comes from confidence in execution, and that comes from repetitive, consistent practice.
Exactly.
And drilling it in.
Yeah, yeah. And then having the nerve to do that in a game situation. I mean, that's really, the nerve is just being able to accept, okay, can I make this or not? I don't care. I'm shooting it. I'm open. I'm shooting it. Okay. And pretty soon they start to fall, and all of a sudden the confidence begins to soar.
Right. I was here first too is from Germany.
All right.
Kevin Kolev. This is a very good topic.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great. Kevin Kolev, you're our buddy from Ireland. I was just there for a couple weeks. Bryce McNair says, I'm 26. Is that too late to try and join a league? No.
No.
There's tons of adult leagues everywhere.
Oh, yeah, there's adult leagues everywhere. Yeah.
You know, people always say that, you know, maybe they're 19 years old and they're like, I'm too old to play.
I'm done.
It's like, no, there's people that are in their 50s and 60s that are still playing on adult leagues. And
how about those older women that you often show, and they've got their uniforms and
I mean, there's a whole league for the older ladies that are in like their 70s and 80s.
Yeah,
so
right.
if they're playing, you can play.
Absolutely.
You know, it might take a little bit of Googling or, you know, asking around, but you can find adult leagues probably in every city, maybe even town that you're in that has a few people in it.
Yeah.
And if not, go play, you know, down at the playground. There's always people down there for that kind of stuff.
Okay.
JD Hilly 50 says, give me a shout out, please.
Hello.
Got it. Andre Sim says, how do you handle players that are not as aggressive and motivated on the defensive end? As a center, my biggest gripe is forwards that let players cut along the baseline or don't try on defense.
Oh, gosh.
You cannot do all that much.
Yeah, you can't. You're not the coach. And that is the coach's responsibility to help those people develop the things that they need to do defensively. And, you know, to be very honest with you, one of the things that we have seen the last 20 years, maybe a little more than that, is that defenses are allowing players to attack along the baseline, because what they are able to do is they run them into a trap in the short corner. And then they pick the ball up, and then they're in kind of a tough situation. And so that may be what one of the things that's going on. But if your coaches tell them, don't let them beat your baseline, and they're still getting beat, then they're probably not moving their feet, and they're not playing with enough, what's the word I'm searching for, enthusiasm or effort, okay?
Yeah, and you know,
and you can't coach them as a player yourself. You can't coach another player about those kinds of things, because they will not listen to you, okay?
well, I think that there's part of it where if you're going to talk to somebody about that stuff, at least come at them with some reasoning when you're doing it. Yeah. It's not just like, hey, idiot, you need to make sure that you cut that guy off or what. It's like, hey, you know, if you're able to stop that guy, then we can shut down the offense because I'm going to be able to slide over here. But, you know, give them a reason why it's in their best interest to do that stuff, and tell them, you know, a little bit of the reasoning why it happens. Sometimes I think players don't get the importance of what they're doing. They just do it because they were told to or whatever. But if you help them understand a little bit and you're not a jerk about it, then, you know, people are going to listen to you. Okay. Alan Zinn says, my tryouts are at 6 p.m. and do you have any tips on how to get by defenders? Well, good luck on your tryouts. Hopefully you've watched all of our tryout videos on how to make the team. Tips on how to get by your defenders. A little late in the game for that for your tryouts, but if you check out all of our videos on attacking the basket or offensive moves, we have so many things in there. But the big one would probably be the long 1-and-1.
Exactly right.
Mm-hmm. Scott Sloop says, that's exactly what all the coaches there said. The varsity coach said that I was the player that impressed him the most because I hustled. Good.
There you have it right there. That is cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually what happens at tryouts. If you are somebody that is going to make an impact, it's because you put effort in and you exhibited these characteristics that the other players weren't in a positive way. Yeah. Ajon Libau says, so in basketball, is there a wide receiver?
No.
And then Andre Sim says, there is if you play with Kevin Love. That's true.
I love it. That is awesome.
Okay, this one is from Timek Chilinsky, who I believe is here all the time. He says, hello, greetings from Poland. Awesome. Okay, Andre Sim says, the issue is that they cut down the baseline while other opponents attack the top of the key, so they have easy high-low passes, but then I'm just asked to communicate on defensive rotation. The issue is that they cut down the baseline. The opponents attack the top of the key, so they have easy high-low passes.
Well, you know, here's something that you need to think about. You can only take and do what you can do individually yourself. One of the things that we teach on defense is that we want the help side defenders to be on the split line. And that means that that line from basket to basket, which is not a visible line on the floor, but you can eyeball it and see where it is. We want anybody that is from the help side, they're on that line. And the reason is they're on there to stop those passes to the interior by people maybe who are going baseline or whatever, or over the top for that matter. When you get into that position, you can help stop that over the top attack just because you're there to take that seam away. This is what we were saying a while ago about how this is a 5-on-1 program on defense instead of it being 1-on-1 program.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, the thing is that you have to really, yeah, I mean, I was going to basically say the same thing you were, but you know, the thing about it is that people get so caught up in trying to be the all around and the coach of everything, but it's like, you can't do that. And if you start complaining, then you kind of turn into the person that is persona non grata and people don't want to deal with you. And it's like, then you become the problem when it wasn't even what you weren't even the person that was the problem. And you're playing with 4 other people on the floor. You're going to be frustrated by the things that they do. You're going to be disappointed with the things that they do occasionally, but that's part of being on a team. If you take it personally, that's going to make it affect you negatively. Typically, if a coach is, you know, worth anything, then they're going to be able to see, oh, well, you know, Andreas is doing his job, but you know that you know, Paul or whatever, he doesn't get it, you know. And you can have a private conversation with your coach. You could say something like, hey coach, you know, Paul, he's struggling with, you know, getting this down. Is there some way that we could maybe work with him a little bit, spend a little extra time in practice and just get everybody dialed in? Maybe that would work. But you don't want to blow up. You don't want to be a jerk about it. You don't want to go to the coach and say, Coach, you need to do this, because that's the entitled approach that will get you sitting next to the coach right quick. So, you know, work kind of behind the scenes a little bit and massage the issue instead of, you know, making it an issue of you. Okay, Warris Sadiq says, hi, what's up? Bulldogs are another regular who says, what's the easiest way to teach junior high players to stay calm when pressured after picking up basketball?
Are you talking if they're being pressured with the basketball?
Probably.
One of the things that we always do is we spend a lot of time in teaching players to how they should react under pressure. We want them to protect the basketball. One of the things that we show them also is a retreat dribble, where you step away from that strong pressure and go opposite, or attack them hard as they start to close the space down.
Yeah, I was going to say, give them the tools to deal with that situation. So it is something like the retreat dribble. It's something like, you know, if they are getting double teamed, that you tell them, attack the player that's closest to them or closest to the middle of the floor, make them take it on one at a time. If they pick up the ball and they get trapped, have them learn not to panic, but
not to pick the ball up.
Protect the ball and try to get it to a teammate. But number one, don't pick up the ball. Stay away from the corners. Stay away from the sidelines. Stay away from the half court. You know, give them the tools so that when they get in that position, they're not going to panic. And then practice those times or those situations so that when they get into when it happens to them in a game, it's not the first time that they've seen it.
And you know, I noticed that your last comment there is after picking up the basketball. Boy, if they pick the basketball up, they're in trouble right away. And if you keep that dribble alive, you can back away, you can go right, you can left, you can back away some more. Usually players who are a little lack confidence is because they lack skill in manipulating the basketball. One of the things that I think is really important for all basketball players is to understand that the important thing is using or making the basketball do what you want it to do instead of the other way around. Oftentimes we dribble and we're not in control of the basketball. So all those little drills that you do, backward, forward, in and out, through the legs, all those things are important that players learn how to do and create a feel for the basketball. And then they'll develop some confidence out of that. But Casey's point, I think, was a key one. They should face that pressure every day and practice. Maybe if it's only for a few minutes, and they should be one-on-one, it should be two-on-one, and they have to take care of the basketball with that pressure.
And if there is ever rules of basketball that people should learn on the first day, it's number one, don't use your dribble unless you are going to go somewhere with it. That should be number one. And number two is don't pick up your dribble unless you're ready to do something with it.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so you see that all the time where somebody starts the dribble and they just stand there and they just dribble and dribble and dribble. And it's like you gave away your number one top secret arsenal, piece of equipment. And that is your first step going into a dribble. You can't jab step anymore. You can't cross step. You can't, go into a shot right away. I mean, it's just, that's number one. Don't give that up. But then alternatively, if you've already started dribbling, don't give up the dribble until you're ready to pass it or shoot it.
Okay. Now here's a little addendum to that. Oftentimes, because they can hear that clock ticking in their brain where they have that 10 seconds to get across the midcourt line, we teach our players, do the best you can and don't take and throw a reckless pass because you can hear that clock ticking and you know that there may be a turnover and it has to go to the other team. Here's the way we deal with that. Take the turnover if you have to. Because if we throw that really crazy pass, a sloppy pass, and they intercept it, they get down the floor for 2. If they take and call a violation of time on us, they get the ball out. We get to get back and play some defense. So the panic pass out of that whole situation is pretty much the same.
Panicking is probably the third thing on the list that you shouldn't do. There is nothing that is worse than if you pick up the ball and panic, or even if you have the ball and panic. Panicking, you can't make good decisions when that happens. So that's why we would say get them in the game situation, have them already have the tools ready. But man, the big things are learn to not give up your dribble and not use your dribble unless you're going to go somewhere with it. Okay, Future Goat says, hello, Shot Science. How do I get used to gym goals? I'm used to playing outside. Tryouts are in 10 days and I need help. I play well at parks and outside goals, but not in the gym. Well, that's one of those figure it out, make it happen moments where...
Yeah, I think you're right, Casey.
If you can't get into a gym, then you kind of just have to do what you've been doing. But there are things like asking the coach, like maybe, coach, is there any time where I can get into the gym and maybe work on the shot? And that takes where... maybe you have to introduce yourself, or maybe you know the coach already, but you have to go out and ask them. Maybe you go to open gyms. Maybe you go online and you look up, YMCAs or...
that's what I was about to say, YMCA, Boy Girls Clubs, where they've got indoor baskets.
Organizations that have indoor... There's a lot of churches that have gyms that have baskets inside. You got to do a little bit of the groundwork. There's not, like, we could say you could mentally visualize working on playing inside while you're... Sure, okay. But the real thing is you need to go out there and really try to figure out, if this is something that affects you, figure out how to get into those type of places. And maybe it's also like befriending the coach, or maybe asking a favor of somebody that knows the coach or whatever. I don't know.
FIO.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Yeah.
A lot of people want things handed to them, and that's just not the way to get things done.
Yeah.
George Days is asking how to get in the zone state. So how to get in the zone, I guess, means like, you're in the zone, you're making all the shots, you're making all the right decisions, blah, blah, blah. I think the biggest thing to do is that you have to work on the 3 pillars of practice. And you have to get to the point where you have confidence in your execution, confidence in your skills, confidence in your abilities, confidence in your ability to translate that into baskets.
Yep.
It's hard to get into the zone when you're not consistently working on your practice.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I mean that again is also training yourself not to worry about these micro failures in your experiences. So you miss a shot, Is that something that's going to loom over you for 2 weeks because you missed one shot?
Or your whole career.
Or
doesn't happen, yeah.
Yeah, or are you going to use that and be like, okay, well, that was not a great shot. I'm going to do this next time, or I'm going to make sure that I go in and I work on that shot 100 times over the next week and motivate you instead. I think that a lot of people that don't get into that kind of shooting rhythm, shooting zone or whatever, those are the people that they let these little, like I said, micro failures affect them. Okay, so I think that's going to do it for us today, you guys. Remember, we have a question for you, and that question is, where are you from in the world? We want to know that. Leave that in the chat, leave that in the comments, but I have a second question for you, and that is, what is one thing that you need to work on this week to become better at basketball? And is that your ball handling? Is that post moves? Is that defense? We want to know what it is. So please tell us. We got George Days from Serbia. So
all right, George.
So your 2 questions from us are, where are you from in the world? And what is one thing you need to work on this week to be better at basketball? We want to make sure that you guys check out shotscience.com, where we have all of our shirts, our gear, training gear, so the vertical jump box, our all-access membership area where we go into super detail on basketball-related stuff like shooting and stuff like that, even more so than we do on the YouTube videos. Make sure that you guys, if you're in the Bay Area and want to go to one of our camps, we have a whole bunch lined up for the fall and the winter. If you just go to bit.ly/ShotSci 2017, and that's SHOTSCI 2017, and I'll try to put that down in the description here. We would love to have you at those camps. Sure. And if you sign up early, that would be great, because that guarantees your spot. So if you're in the Bay Area, check us out. And we have that posted on Facebook and stuff too. So I think that's going to do it for us today, you guys. We'll see you around. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. And if we didn't get to your question, it's not because we don't like you, it's because we ran out of time. All right. See you guys later.